Three, two, one. Today's episode is brought to you by Stamps.com. If you're looking for ways to skip the trip to the post office and dodge all that hectic holiday shopping traffic, why not save time and money with Stamps.com? Stamps.com lets you compare rates, print labels, and access exclusive discounts on UPS and USPS services all year long. It just makes sense, especially if your business sends more mail-in packages during the holidays. Whether you're selling online or running an office or side hustle, Stamps.com can save you so much time, money, and stress during the holidays. Access all the post office and UPS shipping services you need without taking that trip. And you can get the discounts you can't find anywhere else, like up to 40% off USPS rates and 76% off UPS. Going to the post office instead of using Stamps.com is kind of like taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Just going up a couple floors? Sure, take the stairs. Walking up 30 flights a day, you could use a break. If you spend more than a few minutes a week dealing with mail and shipping, Stamps.com is a lifesaver. You'll save so much time and money, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. Save time and money this holiday season with Stamps.com. Sign up with promo code POD for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter code POD. P-O-D.
Lads, we're back!
Hey guys.
Yep. Hello.
Nothing has. Nothing. We're here, and this is the first time trying to record, and nothing has gone wrong. Everything's going perfectly, guys. How are you, Daniel? First off, how are you?
I'm good. It's a nice and sunny morning. Fun fact, and I didn't get to say this previously. Any other time actually, but it was pretty windy yesterday. It was a nice day to head out, but it was really, really windy.
Like it was turbulence. It was. Yeah, Alex, how are you?
Not bad. How are you?
Yeah,
I'm great. I'm fantastic. My blood pressure's not raising.
Yeah.
My veins aren't convulsing.
What a day.
I am in such a great mood right now. Nothing is going wrong. No dogs are barking.
But we love them
problems.
regardless. The dogs.
They are good. Yes. Okay.
Yes. Alex, I didn't get to hear. So do you have an exam today? What's it on?
It's my intro to real estate management exam.
Okay.
It's my last exam of the semester, so it'd be nice.
How does it
if
feel?
It went well. How does it feel? I mean, it feels good to be done this semester in 6 hours.
Oh,
how do you feel going into everything? You got the lines rolling.
Lines rolling.
Dear.
Good family man, and it's just you gotta get pucks deep. What does that even mean?
Well, I mean, who was that? I forgot the coach. Oh, Willie Desjardins. He was like the definition of get pucks deep. I remember when he coached the Olympic team. You remember that 2018? And then he's literally doing the same thing he did when he was interim with the Canucks. It's literally just dump and chase.
And how did that work?
They got a bronze.
Wasn't he also the interim in was it LA?
Yeah, I think
so. Yeah, it was.
And how did that go as well?
Not great.
Not well. Okay. Gentlemen, next episode will be a special episode. It's going to be two things. It's going to be a mix of hockey and a mix of F1. We will, because I don't know, it may come out by the time we're done recording, but hopefully not, and then we can talk about it with a special guest that should be coming on Wednesday to recap the Formula One season. Then the second half of that show will be talking all about hockey, and it will be technically hockey editions because there's been some spin-offs, never forget. Bizarre Adventures. It will be the 200th hockey episode of the show.
Yeah.
Ooh, looking forward.
It has
I'm
gone by
actually
quickly.
Excited. I don't know. I'm just all the old memories are just coming back to me at the same time. Just looking back on how far we've come from me not even having a microphone or a webcam.
I remember when you weren't even on the show full time.
I know, I was.
And it was just like, maybe he'll be here, who knows? And then here you are, going fast, going strong, and you're keeping nice hat, by the way. Nice hockey. Was it the World Cup of Hockey Team Canada hat?
Yes, it was. Hoping for Team North America to come back. in the Olympics?
You know what? I'd like to take a look at actually if there was a World Cup of hockey, what Team North America would look like today. But that's a discussion for a whole nother time. First off, guys, surprise, surprise! I completely forgot this was happening because I was so anxious about the Formula One race. It's Grey Cup Day. Predictions, guys. Who's gonna win? The Hamilton? It's the Wildcats?
Tiger Cats.
Yeah, but tigers are pretty wild, man. You ever seen Tiger King? Oh, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, or is it going to be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers?
The Argos. No. Wait, who beat
More
the
like
Argos again?
Argons. Am I right, lads?
I remember in CP24, they were mentioning how they tried to say it in a nice way, but they were saying like, hey, just letting you know that there's still tickets available if you want to go to the Grey Cup. And usually the tickets are in the thousands, but you could get a ticket now for $200 and you could go to the Grey Cup tonight.
What time does it start?
6 p.m.
Let's go. I'll
We have to go
finish
to
my
Hamilton
exam early. I'll
Guys,
drive.
Guys, predictions.
Well, I mean, last episode we really trashed Winnipeg, so I guess since we're gonna still ride that bandwagon, I'm gonna go with Hamilton.
Daniel?
I'm actually going to go with Winnipeg because Hamilton beat the Argos. And you always have to go against, you always have to go for the team that is going to go against the one that beat Toronto.
I actually, funny enough, I'm going with Winnipeg because I was so rude to the city of Winnipeg. I felt like I had to make
pretty
up
harsh
for it.
last episode.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good episode. Kind of feel bad for Winnipeg because Blake Wheeler is going to be out for a while now. I think he finally scored too against I think it was against the Canucks. So it was starting to heat
Him
up.
and Taves are, they had that up and up.
Yeah, you know who he scored his first of the season against? Montreal.
Wait, Jonathan Toews?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has 2 goals on the season now, right?
Yeah, one against Toronto, one against Montreal, because that's just how it works.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I always forget his stat. I know we're gonna talk about it after, but I always forget about his stats because I think prior to the Montreal game, he was like a minus 13 and he had 9 assists in 25 games.
Yeah, you gotta remember too, he missed it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a puck. It was like not a puck. I saw a tweet that was like he buried that goal like he did his knowledge of the Kyle Beat situation. It was like, I don't like. Oh, we're gonna. There is a segment coming up on Gary Bettman, and I can't promise that I'm not gonna lose my mind. I honestly, Daniel, you might have to be the one calming presence because I think Alex and I are really gonna go off.
Okay. I like that guy that video you sent me. Remember those 2 guys arguing and then the guy in the middle just smiling?
Yes. The video I sent of English. Man, we'll talk about media because I think we'll get into it. But man, those guys in England are a different breed.
We should have an episode like that. We just take on the personality for one episode and just do it for a full hour and a half.
Can I be Paul DeResta and say that Red Bull can do nothing wrong? Sure. And trash Lewis Hamilton every point, even though he's probably the greatest driver of all time? I don't understand why he's pitting. Shut up, Paul DeResta. Anyway, I'm not in a bad mood at all. The dogs are just...
I'd actually like to hear Adam with a full British accent for a full episode.
I can't. Again, some words just kind of... Sometimes they kind of leak out.
Yes.
But, like, I don't think I could really pull it out. But I think I have an idea what I would sound like, but it's just like, I can't. It's been lost to time.
Right.
I've heard your brother's accent here and there.
Oh yeah, because he's just randomly been on the. Yeah, he was just like in the room when I was recording once. Yeah, he's playing Halo. I remember that. Yeah. Halo Infinite Stealthy hockey. Enough of this hockey. What a start we're having here. Where do you guys want to start? Because I'm really cool to go wherever here. There's a lot of places we can start. We can go Olympic stuff. We can go to the Leafs. We can go to Montreal. Some Oilers stuff. I forgot to put this in the doc, but it's really funny. We can talk about Ben Bishop, John Tortorella. What do you guys feel like?
Let's start with John Tortorella.
Okay. So, this year we've had some really nasty goals, right? I think of McDavid every time he seems to touch the ice, but mainly the one on 4 against the Rangers, was it?
Yep.
And then Trevor Zegras. I love how no one calls it the Sonny Milano goal. It is it's the Trevor Zegras assist or the Trevor Zegras. Obviously, the flying Z. Yeah. He fakes the Michigan and instead throws it over the net, and then Sonny Milano puts it in. So John Tortorella on ESPN had a little bit to say about that. and I'm gonna play you guys some audio, and we can sort of dissect it. It shows that I can share the sound.
Yeah.
So here we go. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And of course, it's not working again. Okay, hold on. Oh no, I can't even go full screen because it's not working. Okay, hold on a minute. This is a bit of a mess. We're gonna go to 47 seconds. Okay, here it is.
It's cool, it's cool to watch and all that, but I'm not so sure it's good for the game, and I stand by that.
50 million views is a lot to see it online.
Well, it's not even. It's the goal is amazing, right? I mean, you said the fact that they've actually said that. Like I have, kids in that coach in high school that they want me to drop plays off the faceoff so they can try to score a goal like that, to score the Michigan goal. But for him to be a rookie to actually try that in a game as a rookie, you would never even thought about doing something.
Okay, before we keep going here, guys, can we just? I think unanimously, we can agree the Trevor Zegras goal was nasty, right? It's great. It's good for. We can agree it's good for hockey, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Why would you say it's good for hockey, guys? Alex, we'll go Daniel because you are the Ducks fan here. What was so cool about the Trevor Zegras goal? Let me ask you that. Why? What was so good about it?
I don't know, for me, it's just kind of like, I think on two levels. From, I guess, the team level, it's just, we talked about it for 2 years, the Ducks not really doing much. And then it looks like they're, quote unquote, having fun again, where they have the confidence to do these types of things in games. And I think for the second thing for the NHL is just, I don't know, it's just another layer to it. If that makes sense, where you're just trying to open up the game a bit, like make it more exciting. That I think the biggest thing for me was the media reaction, where you see a lot of guys where I think it was Michael B. Jordan who said, like the actor, that not the player, that he's like, I'm not much of a hockey guy, but that was a crazy goal. I'm misquoting him, but again, it's just another example of it's such a subtle thing that they were able to do to make it a huge thing, that it shows that, look, if you market hockey properly, if you're not trying to make it a way that you say that, people who are in the game only know the game, then more people will be willing to say, okay, maybe I should give this a chance.
Okay, Alex, before I keep going here, because there's a reason I'm asking this, and Tortorella is about to lose a lot of people here. Daniel mentioned fun, people outside the game seeing it. What? Yeah. Add to that, please.
Yeah, no, I just think I look at how in recent years, a lot of sports have transitioned to marketing skill, whether that's basketball, whether that's football, whether that's soccer, whether that's like the only one I can think of off the top of my head that doesn't do it is maybe Formula One, but that's because it's different. Like it's hard to explain that skill and hard to advertise it in a way because it's just driving, but it's more complicated than that. This is fun. This is skill. This is literally skill. There's no other way of saying it. So for him to say something like that, I think is just incorrect. Like it's not like I see it as that's not right, because all these other leagues are moving towards, okay, marketing skill. Great. Advertise the big hit here or there, but that's not clearly what's going to draw in. I don't think that's what's going to draw in as many new fans as it would.
I'm going to use one example I have here. And I just thought of it now when Alex mentioned something about drawing in new fans. A big thing, and I think that it depends on when the game is going, right? It was during the game, but it was still something that it was a skill play. And I'm going to use it one example of Vince Carter. What do we remember him with? We remember the windmill dunk. That's technically like not the most necessary thing you have to have in a game, but it's something that it still brings in a lot of joy to fans. It still brings in something where, yeah, number one, he scored. And number two, it just adds like excitement to the game. It adds something where it just, hey, even if you're not watching the game fully, we're still going to give you this highlight.
Okay, and this is the part that Tortorella, because so far all Tortorella has said is that it's fun. The dog is I'm gonna lose it. And the guys resting are saying, yeah, it's good, it's fun. All these views, it's good for the game. Okay, so here's the bad part from Tortorella.
What would you have said if they were on your team and they did that?
Yeah, I'd have I'd have a talk with the people. I would after the game. And again, I'm not trying to be difficult about it. It's fun to watch. It's really cool, but I just think I think our game has gone so far away from what the game should be. A hard game, an honest game, and it's almost gotten too showman. I know you need to have it. You need to sell the game, but I'm just, I'm from the ilk of it's still a hard game to play, and a good, honest hockey game needs to be played. I think some of this stuff here, we get carried away.
But that's
Okay, that's the big stuff I wanted to mention. Okay, so here's the big problem, right? Okay, first off, correct me if I'm wrong here. Tortorella won a cup in early 2004. Okay.
Right before the lockout.
What exactly? There we go. So, who were some of the great teams early in like that era? We can think of like late '90s, early 2000s. There were the Devils, who the sort of their super defensive nearly kind of killed the game, and everyone we try to avoid the dead puck era. Who are some of those other teams? I'm thinking Colorado are in there.
Yeah, that was before the salary cap, so they still had like all their Hall of Famers.
Yeah, but you had Joe Sakic, you had Peter Forsberg, and all that. Super high skilled players, right?
That was the year. Like, just sorry, one thing. That was the year Colorado, because it's after Patrick Law retired.
Yeah,
this was the year they stacked everything. So they had Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, Milan Hajduk, Alex Tanguay, and then they signed Paul Kariya and Teemu Selanne to like budget contracts, and then they still had like Adam Foote, Rob Blake.
Okay, so you mentioned Teemu Selanne, for example, right? No one remembers Teemu Selanne throwing a punch or something, right? He's the flying Finn. He scores a lot of goals. He's good at it, right? It is such backward thinking from John Tortorella here that what do we know his sort of style of coaching? Low event hockey, defense first, capitalize on the opposition making a mistake, and that. Boring hockey. Teams with lackluster roster play that type of hockey. I think the Islanders. I think, again, back in the day, I shouldn't insult the Devils like that because they had some pretty good players, but we think of some Guy Boucher teams like the Sens and their 1-3-1 run to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2017. I would so much rather market the game around Connor McDavid going 1v4 and guys and Trevor Zegras making plays that we haven't seen since Pavel Datsyuk. Then, oh god, here's Jacob Trouba concussing two people in the multiple days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I say it's just kind of ridiculous to hear. It's an honest game. An honest game?
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Blue collar, working hard, blocking shots. Trevor Zegras doesn't need to do that.
Okay,
that's why Line didn't work. By the way,
can I just say he goes? Well, we need to go back to an honest game. For those of you who haven't seen the Frank Corrado on SDP yet, he said, Babcock used to say he needs to be a good family man, or he come from a good family. What does that mean? Like, how is that? What does that mean? What does an honest hockey game mean? Like, I don't know what that means. That's irrelevant to me until you clarify what that means.
All right, I have two things. So the first thing is, when I think about John Tortorella, I think he's been a great coach. I think he's a great hockey mind. But when I think about what he talks about, like, I'm an old-time hockey guy, it's like, okay, you want to go, like, and I think of Carlo Koliakovo's tweet, where it's like, do you want to go back to like the max salary being $2 million a year for like a star player? Do you want to see that like the sport isn't growing as you want it to be? Because I don't think that a sport like this could survive like that. And I think the second thing is, when we think about fundamentals, when we think about flash, why can't we have both? I think, and I use this so many times, I think about basketball. I'm going to use the most extreme example right here. I'm going to think about the 90s Bulls, the Chicago Bulls. They had Phil Jackson and they had Tex Winter, who's an assistant coach, who they modeled the triangle offense, which was like the most fundamental type of plays you can have in basketball. So the fundamentals are there and it's the hard work, right?
Right.
But at the same time, you have Michael Jordan. You have this guy doing like these crazy dunks, doing these crazy plays. And listen, like no one's taking away from the fact that they're saying like, oh, there's too much flash in the game. There's too much that, we're not going back to just, passing the ball around and we're just shooting the ball. We're not playing old fashioned great basketball. No one ever thought that.
Here's where I'll disagree with John Tortorella about it's too flashy. Has he watched an overtime period in the last 3 years? 90% of them are boring.
Yeah,
Like we get the occasional one where, Toronto versus Minnesota, or there was a couple games Montreal played where it was kind of interesting. I don't remember which ones off the top of my head.
You're probably thinking of another team because remember the live match. But the wild ones when coaches, their claws are sort of taken out.
Right. Like the majority of them are boring.
Yeah.
And they were implemented to make it a little more interesting than 5-on-5 for 5 minutes and whatever that came out. So I'd have to disagree with him there.
What I don't like is, and I didn't mean to close the clip, I forgot that in those last kind of 11 seconds, one of the guys on the panel says, it brings new fans in. And Tortorella, I think you can kind of tell the backwards thinking because he said, yeah, but you'll lose some fans. Now, so one of my favorite things to watch, obviously, is Kitchen Nightmares. And Gordon Ramsay has a very simple philosophy. And whenever owners are like, oh, I don't want to make a change because I don't want to... Carrie, please stop. Please go lie down, dog. They will not want to lose their current old patronage and all that because, that's the one business we have. And those owners will get stuck in their old ways and their business is going to die. If you adapt and go for a younger audience, that's how you continue to, that's how you thrive. And what the NHL need to realize is younger fans like us want skill. No one, listen, I love seeing a good fight once in a while, but if I had to choose between getting rid of fighting and, being able to pass the puck forward, guess what? Later fighting, I want to see deeks in that. I could care less about defensive first, grindy out hockey. It's boring. It's absolutely boring. Listen, the Habs play the defensive first structure in the playoffs. I enjoyed the winning. Do you remember how boring that Jets series was?
Yeah.
It was awful. And it didn't work at the end of it because they got spanked by Tampa. You know what I mean? It's that complete. You can have a complete game, but you need a bit of zest. You need to grow the game. And guys like Trevor Zegras and that, they're seriously, they're inventing new ways to score. A fake Michigan. The only time I think we've ever seen that is when I want to say Sid faked out and tried to do a backhander or something, or someone tried to do that.
Oh, that was Ryan Donato. Yeah,
Donato. But Zegras fakes it and doesn't an alley-oop pass. That's so creative and just so cool. Again, like I said, we haven't seen a play like that since Datsuk. Remember when Datsuk used to on that string far side flip or his slow-mo flip over that he used to pull out? That's what I miss.
No, I think you make a really good point there about how the NHL or the people within it are so afraid of change that they're still worried about losing the fans that they currently have, that they're not willing to take a single risk to bring in new fans. And I think, I don't know if you guys saw Forbes released their annual valuations of each team last week. They also had projected HRR, hockey-related revenue value, hockey-related revenue. They said, and Bettman confirmed this, that the expectation is they're going to hit around $5 billion this year, which is a lot of money, right? The NBA, who everyone loves to use as a comparison, which is beyond me, but the NBA hit $5 billion in basketball-related revenue 10 years ago, or about. We are far behind the NBA in any category, I'd argue. So I think the owners, or we as hockey fans, have to realize that things are going to change and we have to be willing to take more risks to bring in new fans. I don't think John Tortorella is right in saying that they're going to lose all these fans. I don't think that's true. I think you're going to lose a fan here, a fan there, the same way that CBC and Sportsnet lost a few fans here or there when they fired Don Cherry. I'd say let's go look at last year's ratings with the All-Canadian division. The positives in this case heavily outweigh the negatives. Mm-hmm. And that's what matters.
Shall we have a look at another major person in hockey and sort of their inability to help grow the game for a second here?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't even switch over headphones because only one of them are working. Okay. The comedic thing that is this episode continues. Okay. You guys are going to have to give me a minute here. And we'll get to Arizona after this. Okay. Gary Bettman is past the sale-by date. And he has been for a very long time now. So, these are things that have happened under Gary Bettman. This is far from everything, but this is just stuff I kind of thought of a couple of hours ago. Under his watch, we have player safety that has been incredibly inconsistent. We talked about the Ian Cole knee on Mark Scheifele last episode. There is the constant debate of the initial point of contact that we've seen, especially right now. We can look at the Nathan McKinnon and Jujhar Khaira incidents, both hit by Jacob Trouba. That an old fan might say to you, you keep your head up, but McKinnon left the game and Jujhar Khaira was hospitalized. Luckily, apparently he was okay, but we don't know when he's going to come back. Months after one of his teams of the league, one of the teams in the league that he runs were exposed for covering up a sexual assault. He said to the media a few days ago, quote, "I don't know why anybody thought I was going anywhere." Okay, and also I remember his press conference with Bill Daly afterwards and sort of how unprofessional I was, okay? But you can just keep being so smug, Gary. Next. Oh, sorry, I forgot this. But hey, how about this? How about we make a mandatory 90-minute sexual assault sort of help with Sheldon Kennedy program? Which means they didn't have a mandatory sexual or domestic any sort of policy before this, and they continue to not have one. There was no mandatory training until now. Until a skeleton from 10 years ago came out of the Chicago's closet. But hey, we can laugh. I don't know why anyone thought I was going to go anywhere. EA Sports has done more to bring the NHL and the women's game together by adding a World Championships game mode. Oh, but hey, we're going to bring the women to an All-Star game one time where most of the NHLers are hungover because they don't care about the event. Okay. His failure to bring the Hockey Diversity Alliance into the fold of the league. And off a branch, what's happening with Akeem Alou? Just a few things that I've been thinking about the last couple of days with Gary. And to top it all off, the Arizona Coyotes. Here we are. They aren't going anywhere, says Gary Bettman, as we know. The Coyotes, who have just quoted human error as the reason they did not pay more than $1 million in taxes to the city of Glendale. By the way, the Coyotes still owe apparently over $2 million for different stuff like logos and different types of stuff. I'll get it all up in a second from Craig Morgan. They still owe over $2 million. Okay, so probably if you round everything up, there's about $4 million in debt the Coyotes would have had. Remember when they were late paying players per diems a couple years ago as well. Okay. Gary Bettman goes out and says that the city of Glendale have an agenda, and he assured reporters that the Coyotes aren't going anywhere. The same organization that does not have an arena to play in next season. The same organization that Glendale welcomed with open arms because they couldn't play in Phoenix. Get a grip, commissioner or board of governors. He has to go. It is embarrassing that this league, that a team is only worth $400 million, the Rangers are $2 billion, and the commissioner acts like this. There are so many words I'm not going to say, because who knows, one day I apply for a job and people listen to this and I can't say anything. That and voice said, thank you for always being a great platform for the show. But Gary Bettman really needs to give his head a shake and realize the state the game of hockey is in, and The Arizona Coyotes, guys. The Arizona Coyotes. I'm done.
Wow. Okay. No, you said a
For
lot,
that.
and I agree with pretty much everything you said. I just add on. We said a few weeks ago with the Canucks and with the Canadians as well that you're keeping a guy in a job who is time and time again screwing you, right? Mark Bergevin, Jim Benning. I made the argument on the show, and plenty of other people made the argument as well, that I feel bad. Like, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad at all. At what point are we going to start pointing fingers at the people above Jim Benning, Mark Bergevin, and now Gary Bettman? Can we now finally start pointing fingers at the Board of Governors? Because I think I don't see how any of this looks good on the league. I mean, with Arizona, if we want to get into that now, I think the idea that Glendale has an agenda is ridiculous. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they have an agenda, and it's getting this team out of the city because they're done with the shenanigans. Like, I would be royally, royally pissed if a team did this. Like, public money. Oh man, that pissed me off. And they're talking about building this new complex. I beg the city of Tempe. I think that's where they're building it, right? They want to build a new whatever arena in Tempe.
Yeah, that's where
I beg the city council to not let a single cent of public money be used for that. And I don't even live in Arizona. I beg for them not to use that.
Apparently, when the story about the $1.3 million in taxes was coming out, the Coyotes ownership group actually was on the way back from meeting with the people in Tempe. Tempe. I don't care. Shouldn't have a hockey team. I'm sorry to Arizona fans, but yeah. So I don't know how they look at it. It's not even just like it's taxes. It's taxes. What are you thinking? You know who doesn't mess with the IRS, guys? You ever seen this clip? The Joker pays his taxes, guys. The Joker does. Look up, even the Joker isn't afraid of the IRS on YouTube. It's a real clip and it's hilarious. It's from the Batman animated series.
There's also from The Simpsons where Homer doesn't pay his taxes to the IRS, and then in exchange for him not paying, he has to become a mole for them to get the $1 trillion away from Mr. Burns.
Is there a more loyal fan base than that of the Coyotes? Like, how do you have to live through that? Like, being a hockey fan is rough. How do you, take it as a Coyotes fan when, every other league, every other fan base, especially here in Canada, are calling for you to lose your team because it's been such a joke and the way it's ran for years? They're still rebuilding, by the way. Everyone's kind of like, the Canucks have been bad for a decade. What about the Coyotes?
I feel so bad for their fans.
Me too.
I cannot emphasize that enough, how bad I feel for that fan base. And again, this is on the board. The reason this organization is actually in the dumpster, not the fans, the organization above what's his name? Who's the general manager? Bill Armstrong. Everyone above him. Because I think what Bill Armstrong has done the last X amount of months has actually put them in a better position to properly rebuild. Everyone above Bill Armstrong, from Gary Bettman to the owners to whoever, they are screwing this franchise because they refuse to put an owner who's going to do something well for this organization. This is how many owners have gone in there and tried to fix this mess. The league couldn't even fix this mess. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. And everyone there should be absolutely embarrassed because they couldn't fix this team and they refuse to do anything about it.
Where are you playing next year? The thing is, that ownership group, because of the whole Arizona betting stuff, they're going to want to stay there. And Gary Bettman's philosophy is we're going to be in a state or city or as long as we can, as long as someone is willing to buy it. It just hurts seeing a market and like a team just be so like being a laughing stock. I don't want to laugh at the Arizona Coyotes. But did you guys see, apparently, I haven't found the audio for this, but I thought it was really funny, that Friedman joked, I wish, he said afterwards that he's not having any marital problems and it was a joke. But he said, I wish that my wife was as faithful to me as Bettman is to the Coyotes. You just kind of think,
bad take,
man.
Elliot, bad take.
And then the replies to that were great. It was like, and L.A. Friedman has been sent down to the couch and fined for divorce.
There's one where it's like I think like Elliot Friedman, along with future consideration, has been traded to the local motel.
I just want to figure it out, Arizona. Just at this point, just let's put old Lassie or old Yeller out of her misery. Is that what it is? Old Yeller, and they take it back behind the shed. And
I'm sure there are loyal fans. Like there is a certain fan base to them, but I think like from our perspective, then when we mention the teams that we love and we say, oh, the hardship that we have gone through, most of the time, they're hockey related, right?
Right.
Like the on ice production. It's not literally my team. The Leafs forgot to pay taxes.
When one of our teams screws up, it's not on the verge of them losing the team. It's literally, they lost a game. They blew another playoff series. They couldn't win game 7 again. It's not, oh no, my team didn't pay taxes. Oh no, this team might not even be in my state next year. Like, how ridiculous is this?
You forgot to pay 7 figures due to human error. How do you expect us to believe that?
I don't know if you've heard this rumor going around about how it's a negotiation tactic because they have no leverage. This team has no leverage. If the audacity for them to think that they have an ounce of leverage is ridiculous.
How much money do the Coyotes make that arena? If you're the city of Glendale, like, oh great, I'm gonna lose the Coyotes. Imagine if you're them right now. It's like, let's just say that you're a random worker and you're thinking, let's just like someone who's completely out of the know about hockey, and they think, do you know what? Let's go look at the Arizona Coyotes and see why we would want to have them back. And they're just like, I obviously know, we all know what the standings are, but let's just, somebody's like, I wonder how the Coyotes are doing. They go to overall in the league and they see they're in last place by 3 points. See, there's not even a draw of like, hey, come see, look at this. Oh, we love Phil Kessel. He's probably going to get traded. Louis Eriksson will probably be a free agent, maybe retire at the end of the year. Oh, Clayton Keller. Woo! Yeah. Chickering. Oh, he's having an awful year. Oh, what a shame. There's nothing to sell there.
Who was the it wasn't Katie Strang, but she wrote the feature about what was going on with like the budget in the Coyotes?
Yeah.
Yes, it was her. Yes. I just want to get like a timeline that we could create about the time when John Chaika was viewed as like the new hope to what we have right now and like what has gone on. That was
I remember. Well, I remember it was like right after we finished recording the stuff about like the combine testing results they got. I remember how much noise there was around that.
Barrett Hayden has cost them more than we thought.
Yeah, Barrett Hayden, and he wasn't. Remember there were rumors that he wanted a trade, and his agent was like, "Yeah, that's not happening at all." And I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know how many people want to stay around there. I'm sure they always say Arizona is a great place to live, but players want to win and have imagine if you don't know where you're going to be living next year and you're a free agent or something. And it's like, well, I don't want to be around this when I don't know, I need to know by a certain time when my kid's going to go to this school. Is that, all this kind of stuff, right? It's just so embarrassing. It's such a bad look for the league.
It's frustrating to me because, they just expanded 2 teams, right? In the last 5 years, Vegas and Seattle. And now people are talking about Houston and people are talking about Quebec City. And now Gary Bettman's going to go speak to someone in Quebec. The worst franchise is barely staying afloat. How on earth are you talking about expanding You shouldn't. I don't think they should be expanding ever again until they get their stuff sorted out, because it's not doing anything. Great, you expanded to Vegas and it worked.
Doesn't work if not for Marc-Andre Fleury, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. I say we move on for now.
Yeah.
There's just too many things to talk about.
Yeah, we have a lot to get to. Well, just in period, there's a lot to get to. My dear friend, my dear Daniel. AKA, this felt like the biggest story when it came out, but it's so down the pecking order. The Canucks have a new president and an acting GM. He'll be there to mentor the new GM whenever they get him and all that type of stuff. That's Jim Rutherford. Pretty big deal. And by the way, the Canucks are undefeated under Bruce Boudreau. I just wanted to mention that. And they play Carolina tonight, so that'll be fun. But Jim Rutherford, we also know from headlines last night, it's not headlines, but you know what I mean, that some of the candidates and the Canucks are putting their list together. We got Jason Botterill, who had such a very strange exit from Buffalo, and Patrick Alvin, a dark horse, but was previously worked with Rutherford, I want to say in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It's starting to turn around. They're doing a nice little job in Vancouver. Too bad the owner was talking again.
Oh my God, that was such a funny tweet. That was interesting.
For me, I think it's what we've mentioned before in other episodes. It's a stability move that, for all the moving parts, for all of the bad headlines that's coming up, you bring in two well-respected hockey guys who clearly didn't want to. Jim Rutherford, I remember he was contemplating retirement. Clearly that's not the case, but these are two guys right now that I think that they're just going to help the Canucks steer themselves in the right direction. And it's going to be interesting because we've seen two different Jim Rutherfords. We've seen him in the retooling Carolina Hurricanes, and then we'd seen him in I go all in every year Pittsburgh Penguins. So It's interesting to see what he's going to view this core as and what he's going to do, because we know he's never afraid to do the big moves.
No, absolutely. And Harman Dial was actually on one of the doing one of the intermission stuff for Sportsnet and talked about Jim Rutherford's not afraid to make that big move, as you say, Daniel. If you're looking at the Canucks, this is going to sound kind of silly, but I'm just going to quickly get up. I don't care about points percentage. I'm going to look at points here. So if we're looking at the wild card, listen, as of right now, they're 7 points out the wild card. And that's fighting with Winnipeg and Colorado, which, man, Colorado needs to play those games in hand because they keep getting worried. And the Winnipeg, injuries, top guys not scoring enough. I mean, they're not out of it. As bad as the start of the year was, they're not out of it. It would be nice if they also did a sort of outside the look, because as much as Jim Rutherford's a good hire, it is sort of another thing of, oh, here comes the recycling, the revolving door of people. Bruce Boudreau, previous coach, he's a good coach, but same sort of a pool of candidates. Jim Rutherford's there too. And I would like to know if they've really, really done their homework, and I want to know exactly how much Jim Rutherford knew about the Scaldi stuff. Because I don't forget, he would have been running the Penguins back then. Yeah. So I'd say he would have at least been around.
Because Bill Guerin was already there, and he would, because since 2000, he's been there since 2015.
I believe so.
When did Ray Shero get fired?
Ray Shero was fired. Well, yeah, before then. But I'm trying to think. Okay, so when exactly would? Because the Scaldi stuff, he was fired during COVID, but Rutherford was fired that season. Was he not?
He left, I think.
He left that season. Okay, and so he must have at least known whispers about it. So I'd like to know if they did their research there.
He resigned on January 27th, 2021.
Okay. We knew that the Canucks were going to be patient because they didn't want to make a massive mistake. I just need to, because that stuff was very much thrown under the rug. I don't know if Team USA has even officially said Guerin's going to be the guy, but who knows if they're even going to the Olympics, right? So, yeah. Speaking of which, so it sounds like right now, and I've got a bit of a thread here from Chris Johnston. Players are unsure whether they're going to go to the Olympics. We know, also reported on headlines last night, that the quarantine looks like it could be anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks now. for players testing positive while they're in Beijing.
Which
AKA, go ahead.
no, that's what it was during the summer as well.
During the summer as well. So it's not looking good anymore, guys. Again, the league have until early January to pull out, but if the players, and Bill Daly sort of made a point of saying, it's on the players now, but we don't expect to be on opposite sides of the fence here. It is just looking less and less likely that the Olympics are happening for NHL players.
So bleak.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because I think, obviously the COVID situation is a little bit different now in Canada, at least. I mean, I've read around the world as well. Again, like it's 3 to 5 weeks. We've seen someone like Robin Leonard pull out. I think the players should think long and hard about this because that's a long time. I don't know if they're going to be there during the entire Olympics, but correct me if I'm wrong, but usually the hockey tournament is usually one of the last ones played.
Yeah.
So if they test positive during that tournament, we're talking about potentially them missing a week to 3 weeks, let's say, of the team, of their club season. And obviously, like, I don't want anyone to test positive in Beijing.
Especially if you're a team fighting for the playoffs, not having a guy coming back. If it's say early when you arrive to Beijing, you could still think there's still a good chance, but then you're still stuck in the hotel room. And look what happened with guys like Pierre-Luc Dubois and Eric Stahl when they were traded last year. It took a while for those guys to really get going in with their new teams.
Right.
Another sort of really side issue, and we're going to get to the economics in a second here, but looking at the NHL side of things, apparently a lot of arenas have booked themselves during the NHL Olympic break. So what kind of really sucks for content-wise is we could miss the Olympics and not have any NHL games because there are no arenas open.
Which is brutal because, like, it felt like, and listen, I don't know what the discussion with the arenas was, but it's weird. There was no plan B. And I don't blame the arenas for booking themselves. They were closed for a year. They lost a lot of money. They really had no reason not to book themselves. Again, I just think that's a plan B mistake for the NHL on not at least having that discussion with the arenas. If they did, then I'm wrong. But again, it's just not. It is rough, right? It's rough not to know. I mean, they could, I guess, have a World Cup of Hockey tournament in Glendale if they want.
I saw people joking about, like, yeah, do World Cup. No, get out of here. What's kind of a shame, too, is I was going through some quick names, and you got to think about it. If we don't go to the Olympics, McDavid, if instead in 4 years, that's when we actually properly get to go to one, McDavid will be 28, probably 29. This probably would be the last time we have a chance. This 2022 would be the last chance we probably get to see Stamkos go.
Yep.
Probably the last chance we get to see Ovechkin, Price, Crosby. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see I really, really was cheering for Steven Stamkos to try and make that team. Another sort of problem might be that apparently the teams are not required to pay their players for the time they missed at the Olympics in case of that quarantine time. So if the players are all about the money, that's not going to help. There is a $5 million fund, but there are a lot of expensive players going, and I don't know how long. Like, there's hope. Like, you look at how well the NHL did their playoff bubble. Yeah. 0 positive cases. Like, I wonder if you could now, obviously, there's some problems here and there. Stuff could happen. You never know. But you still see what I mean? Like, there's still this sort of, it just doesn't look likely. It just doesn't look likely. I was going to go on something there, but no point.
I know you mean, like, when the bubbles happened, it was purely the NHL. But two things is that they're going to a foreign country. And second, there's still going to be the Olympic Village situations with things where as much as you want to be careful with a lot of things, there's just so many factors to think about.
No, 100%. It's just, I feel like there's definitely going to be players that are up to it, but it's just, are there enough? I don't know what exactly the ratio of voting is, But you do wonder if it's going to be that like divide of like the old school players who are like, listen, I got one chance. But then again, are there going to be older players that say, I got a family here? Or is it just going to be the young players that are like, I want to go? You think a guy like Jack Eichel, if he's clear, he'll be like, I want to go, guys. Here we go. It's the Olympics. I fought so hard to recover from my neck surgery. I want to be here. It's a near impossible situation because these guys, and we talked about the Olympics before, and obviously there's some political stuff going on there, but they're working their whole lives to get there. And I don't like seeing those guys lose their opportunity. But then again, you got to put common sense and safety above all else, right? So it's a shame. It's a real shame. Also, it looks like revenue is looking good from the NHL. That came out of the Board of Governors meeting, and it looks like the cup will go up to $1 million. In about 3 years' time, so 2 years after next season, the cap should be going up significantly because the players will have paid off their escrow. For those of you wondering, that's good for a lot of teams. Friedman mentioned the Leafs, especially same with Vancouver, because guys like Patterson, Nylander, and Matthews will all be up. By then, who knows? Maybe Matthews won't be going home to Arizona, but he'll be going home to Houston. Oh, wait, never mind.
I don't take that take seriously. Like that he's going home. Why on earth? I get it to play at home, but you look at the financial situation. I would not want to go home.
I think for a chance for Matthews to go, I think the Leafs have to completely undervalue him. Not going to happen. They have to continue to lose in the first round and miss the playoffs. Doubt that's going to happen. And I think the Arizona Coyotes have to have a permanent home. Not looking very likely. The most likely outcome is you can see if maybe by the time he's up there, a team on the rise under Armstrong, and maybe you could see it, but I don't know. Speaking of Leafs and Olympics, by the way, we'll put the last two together here. So Doug Armstrong did an interview, guy running Team Canada as well as the St. Louis Blues, talking about that Team Canada will lean heavily on players who have performed well in pressure situations. References Tom Wilson, how good he's been in the playoffs. And just like that, people have speculated that players who have not performed in playoffs might not be eligible for the team. Armstrong didn't say we don't like players who haven't performed in the playoffs, but naturally the media have sort of spun this. And it has started the debate. Will Mitch Marner make the team? Or will Tom Wilson get his spot?
Apparently, Tom Wilson and Zach Hyman will make the Team Canada Olympic roster over Mitch Marner.
Hold on. So you're saying in terms of pressure situations, Pat Maroon should be on the U.S. team?
Yep.
Absolutely. Because who's Kyle Connor? Listen, I memed about Marner not being on, but if I can see Wilson getting a spot. I think there is a... Because if you think about, guys like Horvat and Barzal have lost their spots. They just have. I think you could get Wilson in there as a 13th forward, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. Kind of like how I wouldn't have a problem if Doughty was a 7th guy.
Yeah.
And there's a different conversation about that one article that Saravelli did with that one former executive that said, Dougie Hamilton's on his way out the team because Riley would be better on the power play. No, get out of here. But
no, that's ridiculous. I don't know. I just, maybe I'm biased, but I would pick Mitch Marner.
Let's do the Jeff Merritt question. If you put Mitch Marner on the team, right?
Yeah.
Who do you take off? Who's a right winger that you would take off for Mitch Marner?
Yeah, but he doesn't necessarily have to be a right winger, right? Half their core could be centers.
How about this? How about this then? Do you take off Sidney Crosby?
No.
McKinnon?
No.
McDavid?
No.
Braden Point?
No.
Well, isn't he injured?
He'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Braden Point. Okay.
No.
Marchand?
No.
Bergeron?
No.
Okay. Then we get to the next tier. Mark Stone?
No.
Okay. But let's go to the other two. He's better than Sagan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I would agree with that. I also have a bias against Sally Sagan. Would you take Bo Horvat off the team?
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you take Barzal off the team?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Based
how about this?
Right now, yes.
Who would you rather have on the team, Tavares or Marner?
Marner.
Yeah, I'd go with Marner.
See, that's the debate. Those are the levels of players, okay? You can Stamkos or Marner.
Ooh.
Because your center depth's going to be good, and I think you can have better power play options than Stamkos. But you know what I mean? It's the top 6 you can kind of fit. Huberdeau or Marner?
Marner.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, so
I'd go Huberdeau, but we don't need to.
Before we continue this conversation, I'm going to mention 2 players that was on Team Canada's team in 1998, and I know that it's different time.
Okay.
But I feel like some of the same decisions are being made right now, and I think Steve Dangle had a tweet about it. So Eric Desjardins and Rob Zamuner made the team over Mark Messier.
I don't like that. Oh yeah, my family was telling me about that.
Because
I don't get that.
This guy was considered like a power forward that they needed the same thing basically Tom Wilson gave the team. Like this guy had so the year he made the Olympic team, he had 26 points in 77 games.
Oh no. At least Wilson can score 20 goals, but gross.
This was after a career high of 50 points in 82 games the season before. But keep in mind, that was also the team Eric Lindros was the captain over Gretzky. And Steve Yzerman.
Hockey Canada have that history of just being like, okay, so yeah, you mentioned no Yzerman, no Marty St. Louis. PK obviously got like thrown to like 8th defenseman when right after winning a Norris Trophy. I wonder if Marner is that guy this year. I don't think it's warranted, but we know there's going to be a guy left off the team that shouldn't be. And I think right now everyone is thinking that it's going to be him.
Does it feel like Hockey Canada just knows they have such a pool to choose from that they make their team like they would an NHL team?
Yeah.
Listen, if they win gold, who cares?
Right.
Or if they go and win gold. But you know what I mean? It's just like I really don't think the difference between having Marner or Huberdeau is going to really make or break you. You know, there's only one puck, but it is kind of common sense. Just kind of take the best players available. You know what I mean?
I don't know if other countries are having this same conversation.
Okay, so Mitch Marner's the best player on the Czech Republic. I don't know, him or Pasternak, but you know what I mean? He's like that level. Pasternak's the better goal scorer, but Marner's the playmaker. Slovakia is Kopitar, who's getting old?
No, he's Slovenia.
Sorry, who's the Slovakians then?
Chara?
Yeah. So Marner's the best player there. Germany is Draisaitl, but Marner would be the second best easily there.
And don't forget Dominic Cahoon.
And Tim Stützle.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe Stützle wants to score some goals this year then. Oh, Stützle. I'm not worried about Stützle. He has like 2 goals. Anyway, my God, it's Tim Stützle. I'm so sick. He's a diver too, you know? He is. He's a diver. Watch him. He's the most dramatic guy. It's like he's going for the Oscars. Oh, I've been tripped. Sacre bleu. Or whatever that is in German. I don't know. I hate Tim Stützle. He's a diver.
Wow.
You know who I and the rest of Habs Nation love? Marc-Andre Fleury.
Is he going to be the starter or is it going to be Carey Price?
Daniel, I'm not going to change my answer. I don't care if Carey Price doesn't play a game in the end. I would name him the starter and I'd start him game 1 no matter what. He could lose every game, but then they wouldn't make it. But you can't change my mind. Carey Price has proven it. Don't even pull that on me. Anyway, Marc-Andre Fleury gets his 500th career win. He's 3rd all time. He's chasing Patrick Waugh. I think it's around 550-ish. Does it at the Bell Center, which is basically his home ice, as you can say. They chant his name. He even did an interview for LDS with Marc Denis and not Michel Lacroix. I forget who the other guy is.
Wait, World Junior legend Marc Denis?
I didn't know he was, but yeah, sure.
Okay. No, just when I was a kid, I used to have this narrow view that every goalie that played for the World Juniors became great, and then this one guy kept saying, "What about Marc Denis?"
I mean, he's a pundit for I probably only know he's a pundit for a certain reason, but Fleury, 500 wins, well deserved. He's the only reason Chicago can win games. So,
yeah, I'm happy. I'm really happy. Still probably arguably my favorite active player right now.
Yeah, fair enough. He's a good player.
I just wish it wasn't on Chicago.
You know, we all wish that. It still looks weird. He's got great pads and a great mask, but yeah.
Don't like it in Chicago.
I don't like it.
I don't
No.
like it. I don't like it.
Like, I don't like Tampa Bay. John Cooper, the fastest to 400 coaching wins?
Yeah.
Congrats, John.
Wow.
Sorry?
Congrats, John.
Sure.
Is
got a
he
pretty good
going
team.
to the Olympics?
Isn't he the head coach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they go.
If they
Then if not, then it's Claude Julien, I think, right? Is that what they
Yeah,
say?
yeah, it is called Julian.
Because there's no more Bruce Boudreau and Scott Walker.
I think it's what Shane Doan is an assistant because he seems to be doing everything, and you just call Julia. That was
Unless they rehire him in Montreal, as you said on this podcast.
cool. Exactly, because Don Ducharme is awful. I'll tell you something else that's a little awful. You know what? Ben Bishop won't play hockey, apparently. His career is done. But this is a guy that Ben Bishop used to haunt me when he was at Tampa Bay Lightning. He finishes 200 career wins, a winning record. Actually, funny enough, retiring, his save percentage is a .921.
Wow.
He tried to come back, but man, like, I kind of realized I feel really bad for Ben Bishop because once they moved on from him in Tampa, they win all their cups. You know, he went to the finals twice, lost both times. I feel really bad for Ben Bishop, but you know, that guy can hold his head high because I think when healthy, you know, I think he was a top 5 goaltender in the league. Just like, you know, I hope once he's sort of, I don't know if he's accepted this because he's been trying to fight for so long to come back, but I hope he has holds his head high because he was a hell of a goaltender.
For sure. I really rooted for him a lot throughout his career. I know he was a late bloomer of a goalie, and he kept, he went to St. Louis, he went to Ottawa, he went to Tampa Bay before he really solidified himself. And, you know, listen, yeah, great career. He was nominated for 3 Vezinas, went to 2 finals, and he was really that guy before, you know, the Lightning really did take off. But even in his early days in Dallas, he was great.
Yeah, man.
He was part of like the first, I'd say, really good tandem. And he was the guy. But like obviously Hudobin was there, but Ben Bishop was the guy in that tandem. He started something completely new.
He was the backbone of that team, of that Tampa team for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
Again, and like how hard he played in the finals when he didn't have like a groin for Tampa back then. I remember back when Tyler Johnson was scoring through like not 30 goals, but then he had that wrist injury. He was never quite the same. But congrats, Ben Bishop, with a great career. He didn't go out the way you want to, but honestly, well done, my man. Well done, my man. The Habs are bad. Toffoli's hurt like everyone else. They keep losing. What else do we need to say? I hate watching their games, and I prefer playing Halo.
I don't know.
I've heard this update before. Yeah.
I think, can we, like, I know he said they weren't going to do it, but can we get to a point where they fire Dominic Ducharme? Like, we all know it's coming, right?
Yeah.
Like, we all know July 1st, 2022.
Well, here's what I wonder, because like, who would be the head coach?
I don't know.
Burroughs?
Anybody for now, like to finish the season? Like anybody right now, just anybody. You could do it.
I know a lot of. Sorry, go ahead.
It has to be French.
You know French.
I know a lot of guys have been injured and are currently injured. Like, it's a ridiculous amount. But I just, sometimes I watch and I go, Dom, come on. Like, what are we doing?
All right, like listen, like when I look at the line combinations, okay, this is the credit I'll give it for. The first 2 lines, they're probably great defensively, and you know they probably backtrack pretty hard. But I'm like, who is gonna shoot on that line?
So you know it's really annoying. I think they were down by 2 in the game last night, right? And yeah, they needed 2 when there was a power play. And the unit that was sent out there, I don't remember who the defenseman was, doesn't even matter, but it was the unit with Jonathan Drouin, Armia, and Mathieu Perreault. Who shoots there? And they were out there for nearly the entire power play. And I kind of realized, you know, that means the real front unit would have been, if they had done it right, on either flank, Hoffman, Caulfield, Suzuki's in there, and then who cares who else is around? Like that, how do you not throw that unit out there? And all the injuries, how is Cole not in the top 6? Why is Jesse Alani getting called up and playing fourth line minutes too? Why do you hate me, Dom? Anyway, it's just repeating oneself at this point with Montreal. And yeah, I don't see how Dom finishes the year now, because it would be cool if they were losing and there was entertainment, but I am almost at a point. I have watched at least 40 minutes of every game this year. That ain't lasting much longer.
No.
I'm telling you that now. I try and watch because I don't want to come on the podcast and be like, I haven't watched the Habs, but I'm going to tell you how they're playing. Like, I hate when people do that so much. When it's like, oh, Jake Allen's been bad, and you're not watching the games. Like, they leave him out to dry, but we'll have that conversation another time, shall we? So once the Habs decide to start doing stuff, let's go. And trade Ben Sherratt to the Oilers, please. Let's see, did you guys see this? So Friedman, during the intermission yesterday of the Oilers game, let me just quickly find it because I thought Patrick had a really funny thing. Friedman at the intermission says that the Oilers have a need in net, lefty, and third line center. Not sure if Holland can address them all, but he needs to try and fill these roles to show McDavid and Draisaitl that they want to contend now. And Patrick Talon, the guy we just had on the podcast a few episodes ago, says, may I interest you in Jake Allen, Ben Sherratt, and Christian Dvorak? Legit, if you had Sherratt, Allen, and Dvorak, like, I think the Oilers are going to win the cup. Like, I know Dvorak hasn't been great, but if you slot him as, like, a third-line center, and if you do it properly of, like, McDavid, Leon or Nuge works, and then Dvorak, and then, Turris is your fourth-line center, that's pretty hot. That's pretty... And Allen's a good goalie. Just get him some rest.
Yeah. No, I guess. I mean, I'd still be worried about the goaltending, but, like, that's fine. I guess.
Why? Allen's good.
Well, you need a extremely hot. You look at the goalies who've won the cup in the last few years, and they have all been extremely, extremely hot throughout the playoffs, right? Vasilevsky the last 2 years, Jordan Binnington. Say what you want about Tuukka Rask, Boston fans, but Tuukka Rask Tuukka Rask as well. Fleury or Murray, both of them were hot. Again, I just worry about their goaltending.
That's what you do is you ride
Crawford if we go all the way back.
If we want to keep going back.
People do not talk about how badly Corey Crawford did the Devils. And I will never forget it because he really hurt them. Okay, Toronto.
What a game. Right. 4-1.
Yeah, but they ended up winning. I loved Kyle Dubas' reaction. Okay, first off, though, for those of you who don't know, Justin Hall is not a member of the Newfoundland Growlers.
Oh my God!
Like Damien Cox may lead you to believe.
What a couple weeks that guy.
He's helping his former team. He's just trying to spread the wealth.
So they need a right-handed D, right?
They need a right-handed D in the playoffs. Yes.
Like I like for no more of this left-handed D who can play the right. They need a bona fide right-handed defenseman.
Here's the thing. So right now their setup is Riley Brody, Muzzin Liljegren, and right now because Sandin is out, Rubens, Hall. Obviously, once Sandin and Dermott's out too. So once Dermott comes back, it's Dermott, Hall, which they did play together in the AHL, but that doesn't matter because Hall, it looks horrible.
Yeah.
And then once Sandin comes back, presumably Hall comes out.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with Timothy Liljegren. I'm just not comfortable enough for him to be in the playoffs. That's why I say they need someone for the playoffs. You know what they need? Man, they need a Zach Bogosian type. Am I wrong?
So can you describe what a Zach Bogosian type is?
I checked the Tampa Bay Lightning lineup a couple nights ago when they played the Leafs, and he was playing top 4 minutes. Now Eric Cernak is currently out.
Yeah.
So he can play in the top 4. He can play in the bottom pairing. They just need someone who fits.
Okay, just don't describe his play style.
They need a pain in the ass guy. Okay. They need a pain. Don't even bring up Ben Sherratt Ben Sherratt's not right-handed. Ben Sherratt is not right-handed.
Just describe the role though. Okay, so pain in the ass to play against, yeah.
and a minute muncher essentially, because Zach Bogosian can munch minutes. Well, that's up for debate, but that's essentially what they need. They also need a guy who is okay with rotation, because from the trade deadline to the playoffs, he's probably not going to be playing every single game, which is essentially what Sheldon Keefe said a couple weeks ago when they were asked about the 7D, right? They have the 6 guys plus whoever's out, and they're talking about rotation. And Sheldon Keefe said he is okay with rotation. So that's another added thing.
Listen, all I heard was just
It sounds like
good character.
I did not say good character.
Great net front presence, aka
Sure.
clearing the front of the net.
Sure.
You can get away with murder in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That just reminded me of Ben Sherrod.
But didn't you just say they needed a right-handed defenseman?
Yeah, that's the one
Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
I'm going through the list, and I'm just figuring out
who's available.
Like,
if his hand was working properly, like Jeff Petrie would be such a great fit on that team. Like I really think he would be, especially if you tell him to learn how to pass. Like legit, like Jeff Petrie would be such a nice fit in Toronto. But who's a right-handed D that's available right now? I can't even think of it.
I thought Libor Hayek, but he's left-handed.
Oh, Babcock would be losing his rocker right now. Well, he wouldn't play Hall anyway, so never forget.
Okay, I'm going to just throw this guy out there. Not that I would. It just hurts to say, but they wouldn't trade him. But like Eric and Branson, like I don't know. Like that's again. I don't want him playing on the second pairing, but that's essentially what they need on the third pair. Do they not? Like I don't know. They just need someone to absolutely take the guy out in front of the net.
You know me, I don't always jump first to look at a guy's analytics, but I think you want someone who's a bit more anything than Eric Goodbranson.
I don't know, man. I don't know what position or who to say, okay, go get him. Like, man, it really hurts not to have Zach Bogosian. I'm just going to say it. Like, I don't
Plus,
get
like, who the heck do you move to make the salaries work? Because like, I'm trying to like wonder what a package is, because like Justin Hall obviously has no value right now. I just wonder that, like, is it finally time to trade Alex Kerfoot? Poor guy.
It's a little disappointing. I would say trade okay. He requested a trade, and I know you don't want to trade him, but he hasn't been in the lineup for a month, I feel like, or a couple months, and they've seemingly done well without him. Ilya Mikheyev.
What's their penalty kill at? Just out of curiosity.
I thought of 2 guys right now.
I'm going to go double check out.
Okay, one is really overvalued. I don't think he's going to get out. But the other one, I'm like, we'll see what the Sabres want to do. So the first one I'm thinking of is Philip Roenick. That's going to cost you a lot.
Yeah.
Second is Robert Haig.
That's true, yeah.
Because I don't think the Sabres are going to think of him like as a long-term option.
Yeah, but he's that's one thing I forgot to put in the team. Maybe we'll talk about that next episode. Is that the Sabres kind of got screwed the other day by the league and got a little disrespected there. I hate Colin Campbell.
Sorry,
because I was thinking about it. The reason I mentioned the PK is that if it's working well enough and they're obviously scoring enough goal, well, Mikheyev doesn't score, but if the penalty kill works enough, like well enough, that Mikheyev's kind of just lost it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't really have a place on the team anymore. But yeah, but you just have to find a team that sees that value, and the one stupid team that thinks, oh, he doesn't score goals for them, so he will score goals for us, and it just won't happen. So yeah.
They have the 14th best penalty kill. It's at 81%.
Yeah, it could be better, but they score enough goals, right? So yeah.
Right.
Okay. Also in news, I think the big story is, you see, I really wanted to talk a lot about the Tampa game, but the Chicago one just kind of overshadowed things. Besides, like, Andre Kasha, who just continues to be such a bright spot on that team. Mrazek plays a game for the first time in this century. I always forget.
October.
I mentioned it before, but I love the equipment.
I saw him starting. I'm like, oh, Oh yeah, you. Uh, First off, your thoughts on his game before we get to Kyle Dubas being every hockey fan in existence.
Um, listen, I'm no goalie expert, but it just seemed to me he was very all over the place, and that just might be the way he plays. I know there are some goalies like that. I look at how Freddie played in Toronto, and he was a lot of the time calm and collected. And Peter Mrazek is kind of the complete opposite. Mm-hmm. So that might just be me having to get used to that. But at the same time, there were plenty of goals last night that he really should have had.
Were the turnovers in their defensive game a little better compared to Columbus and Tampa? Because okay. No. And how much of that was from well, I guess you kind of already said they kind of split up Paul and Muzzin, right?
Man, I feel so bad for Christian Rubens. I don't know why they're doing this to him. I don't know if you saw it. It was a 2-on-2, and Rubens is on his side, and somehow Hall drifts to the left, and the guy on the right is wide open, and now 2 Leaf players are on 1 Chicago player. And it's like, man, like I never played hockey, but like, I know that's not what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, everyone, that pairing was probably a disaster last night. And I don't know if that's something they want to go back to, but please.
Justin Hall just has to be sent to the shadow realm at this point. Poor guy.
Yeah, if it was a healthy lineup, I don't think he would be in the lineup.
Oh, if Jake Muzzin was healthy, because here's something that's bothering me, because everyone kind of agrees, or maybe you guys don't here, but that Jake Muzzin ain't 100%. It doesn't look like he has been all year. Sit him, get him healthy. Man. They're not going far without a healthy Jake Muzzin.
Oh, yes. We learned that the hard way 2 years in a row. Once Jake Muzzin, like when I heard Jake Muzzin was not playing Game 7 against Montreal, I knew it. Like their defense heavily relies on him, and the fact that this year their defense has actually looked okay, and he's been probably one of the sour spots is surprising. They should have sat him earlier. Now you can't sit. What are you going to do? Sandine and Dermott are out. How are you going to sit Jake Muzzin? Mm-hmm. Like the options are very, very limited. And I think something that we're not talking about with Jake Muzzin is I think he's trying to overcompensate for the fact that Justin Hall also doesn't look good. Mm-hmm. I think both deserve blame. Obviously, we don't even know if Jake Muzzin's actually injured. That might be a possibility that he just does not look good right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's also overcompensating at the same time, and he's looking worse.
Speaking of not looking great, Kyle Dubas once, I think it was Andre. What am I thinking here? It was David Kampf who gets the game winner. I was really hoping I was going to go to OT and I was going to get some entertainment after the Habs game, but Kampf just ruined my entire evening. The look on Kyle Dubas' face in that clip was just sort of a thing of it's kind of like this thing of I'm giving up a little bit here. I'm going to go and get my birthday cake, Justin Bieber Timbits, and just go home and buy a new cardigan to relieve the stress of this team.
Yeah, man, I don't know. That feeling, that face he made is the exact same feeling that I had when they scored the 5-4, when they scored to make it 5-4. Like, what are we doing? Like, come on, really?
That's a goal. If
his former team.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So it's funny that if that's a game you go to, you lose your mind when the Leafs score because it's like, we're good here. But when you sit back down, you're kind of like, whoa. And then when you're like, okay, that wasn't fun. Oh, hey. But when you're just kind of, if you hop on Leafs Twitter, you can you got the feeling of it. I was keeping my eye on it and thinking, I hate to say this, I was kind of hoping the Leafs were going to lose and just be like, the content for tomorrow.
No, man. I follow a couple people who did go to that game last night, and their reaction was like the complete opposite of what like mine was. Like they were excited that they won, and I guess obviously rightfully so. But it was like, man, sitting at home and watching that, it's like, come on, really?
Speaking of frustration, you want to talk about the refs?
Oh yeah, yeah, I do. I just want some consistency. That's all I want. Like just a little bit from both sides, man. Like if I was a Chicago fan watching that as well, there was pretty much plenty of calls on both sides that were missed. I'm begging.
Update.
Pardon?
I have an update on the Leafs.
What's that?
The Leafs have recalled defenseman Carl Delstrom and forward Brett Sini from the Toronto Marlies. Defenseman Christian Rubens has been loaned to the Marlies.
I mean, he got his chance. He looked good.
Well, Delstrom he's experience. He's been on the Coyotes.
Did he play for the Blackhawks for a little bit as well?
Yeah, he was a prospect for them, and then he was traded with a first for Anton Vermette.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day. With the referees, I don't know. Like, all I want is the league to explain the rules to me like I'm 5 years old. And I mean, like for the Trouba hits, for example, I don't know if they're clean or dirty because I don't know the rules. Like, because based on what we were saying about Jason Spezza, and I still stand by what I said, and I assume you too as well, it was the player was in a vulnerable position, and Jason Spezza had to take accountability for the fact that he was in that the opposing player was in a vulnerable position. So what's the difference between head down? Adam, I think you are muted. But what's the difference is what I want to know.
I'm mixed with that because vulnerable. I think Pionk was very much more in a vulnerable situation than Kyra. And listen, sure. McKinnon can't be dancing in the zone with his head down.
Sure. Like
you can't do that. But like Kyra, I kept looking at. I can't find a better angle, so maybe I'm looking. But the way I saw it is, he caught his bottom jaw. It's funny. What I thought more of was not so much the vulnerable position stuff, but and this is going to bite player safety for a lot now. Is in the Spezza video they talked about the consequences of the action, right?
Right.
And Trouba hurt both guys, and that's where I'm like, okay, so where are we going from here, right? Because it was, I think he very much followed through, and he caught McKinnon in the head, obviously. Mm-hmm. And there should be at least, like, I've been clamoring this for a while now. If there's contact to the head, let's say a Trouba, I don't think Trouba meant to throw the guy out the game there, but he meant to hit him hard, and he still caught him in the head. Give him one game. Don't go crazy, just give him a game. Kyra, I think, was just, that was so just disturbing to watch. But he's still, like, I don't know, can you constitute the jaw as, like, the same as a head hit? I would say yeah, because I know the feeling of having a broken jaw, for example. I don't think he broke his jaw, but it ain't fun. And I think even lower contact in the head, obviously you can still get a concussion. It doesn't really matter as long as, but like I still think more of the consequences of the action rather than vulnerable position, because I especially McKinnon, like I hate the keep your head up kid argument, but that was super dumb on him because no matter what, you knew someone was going to come after you there. But it's still so just, I don't know what's going on here. And again, the Ian Cole stuff, it's different rule books for every official.
Right. All I want to know is what the hell the rules are.
Exactly.
I don't know what they are, and I can't make a decision on whether it's a clean or dirty hit. In my opinion, I made it clear. I'm not a fan of head hits, whether he's in a vulnerable position or not. Right. Like there's circumstances where it's pure accidental. And I get it. I don't expect them to suspend for that. But there's times where the player has enough time to change the course of his hit and he doesn't. And you should probably be suspended for that. But I don't even know what the rules are for the NHL. So I can't really say if something's clean or dirty if I don't know the rules.
Breaking news, by the way. I feel like this is going to go a little further, but both the claims by Mercedes have been dismissed by the FIA. But I believe they can go higher than this, can't they? I don't know the exact motorsport court because I don't think because isn't it kind of crappy that you're challenging the FIA's claim but the FIA are those who rule on it. You know what I mean? So I don't think this is done, but we'll see what happens because
I'm not entirely sure. I've seen mixed things.
Because if there's some sort of like I don't know what you would call it, like a motorsport court, I don't really think the FIA have a leg to stand on. We'll talk about this more on Wednesday. But Michael Massey broke the rules. Like Lewis, like again, we'll talk about it. Lewis should be champion right now. Like he should be. They really kind of messed him up there, but we'll talk about that in a few days. Anyway, anything else you guys want to mention before we wrap up?
No.
Okay. Daniel.
I'm good. I'm just still thinking about that Leafs thing where the ongoing saga of defensive pairing combinations.
Yeah.
What we're gonna see the next game.
100%.
It'll be interesting.
All right, with that, I think one of the more frustrating podcasts that we've ever recorded for me is now over because just so much was going wrong. I need to cut my hair. Okay. Thank you for listening and all that kind of stuff. Check out our social medias and all that. My YouTube channel, Alex's blog, Daniel Stuffer, CGRU. The show, check us out on TikTok, Twitter, all that type of stuff, Facebook especially. Voice a great platform as always, and we'll see you Wednesday. Or hopefully justice is done for Lewis because I feel really bad.
Our special episode.
Anyway, I'm just realizing that for some reason I can't hear Daniel. I think my speakers are messed up, but that's going to end the episode.